According to people far smarter than I, the first intelligence explosion occurred in the African savanna over 3 million years ago. Then, a 250,000 years ago, there was another such burst, which gave rise to Homo sapiens, which also, presumably, includes you. With evolution well underway, humanity had splintered out, becoming different races, each with their own cultures, societies, and languages. But with evolution now being directed, steered, and pushed, humanity will soon splinter in another way. One group will embrace those technological upgrades, while the other group will seek to return to old ways, that hopeful resurgence of traditional methods of doing and learning. Those trends are slowly starting to unfold, as seen recently in a couple columns that appeared in two different newspapers. A late March edition of the Epoch Times tells us about the paper advantage and how it's so much better from a cognitive and educational standpoint to learn things when the material is found on a sheet of paper. The column tells of a 2024 meta-analysis which included thousands of readers from elementary school all the way through college. One study made use of MRI brain imaging, finding that students who spent more time reading books had greater connections between regions of the brain that involved language processing and cognitive control. Quote, the tactile experience of holding a book, feeling its weight, and turning its pages supports spatial memory and helps readers create a mental map of the text, aiding comprehension and recall, said one of the lead researchers. I like that quote. On the other hand, screen learning increases the cognitive load, with students rarely backtracking so as to reread or rewatch the material. Whether screen addiction eventually gets deemed an epidemic, everyone living in the future has carried that cognitive load. That endless scrolling, just following the feed, down, down, down. One day, even your report card might become nothing more than content. The other column, found in the business section of the New York Times, explores the best tech gear for babies. Because how are you not going to introduce your newborn to the tech-infused world? Why not put them in the snoo, a bassinet that sways and plays lullabies? If that doesn't put your baby to sleep, try the hatch rest, which plays white noise. But of course, this comes only after you've warmed up their milk with the help of the Philips Advent bottle warmer. When mom and dad have gone back to their room, they can keep an eye on their little one with the Nate webcam. Even though I'm personally left bewildered as to why one can't simply use the stove and the TV, these particular items appear innocuous. However, the author says the most useful baby tech was all the apps they downloaded on their smartphones, which in their sleep-deprived state had helped them keep track of meals, diaper changes, and sleeping cycles. If only parents could relearn how to use a pen and paper. Obviously, this is more like an intelligence implosion, the outsourcing of even our most basic skills. Evolution pushed us through millions of years, grinding out the weakest links, cruelly tossing aside unworthy lives, rejecting any notion of equality, forcing us to get here. And suddenly a bright screen is keeping track of when your baby poops and sleeps. I think people will come to view this as the ultimate insult. They'll see the majority adopting tech, accepting it into every domain of their lives, supplanting every function of their intelligence. And their response will be to buy their kids books and bicycles instead of tablets and game consoles. With that, humanity will splinter again. Two sets of footprints. Which route will you take? Will you make the lighter imprint, rounder on the sides and with 5 digits? Or the heavier imprint, more jagged and having no digits at all? Surely a few AIs have already made predictions about how and when all this will take place.